The second race of the weekend for the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Great packed crowds here at the Hungaroring. Perfect weather conditions if you like it hot and sunny. Certainly the trucks get very warm places to go operating. And what we have for this, the second race, 30 minutes of racing lined up, but the top 8 finishers get reversed order. So if on the left of your screen, back on the fourth row, you can see truck number 24, the Mercedes of local hero Norbert Kiesch. On pole position, we have therefore the driver who finished 8th, which is the driver of truck number 33, which is David Vrasecki. Alongside you have 27, which is Gert Kerber. There he is, Gert or Gerhard, depending how you want to say it. And he's sitting on the outside of the front row. That's the side away from the pit wall. In the background, you can see the podium ceremonies as you look through the cockpit. Plenty going on here at the Hungaroring. And in the second row, we have Ryan Smith, the British driver, in the 88 truck that rose from 16th place up to 6th. So quite a charge. He'll have his bodywork would have been replaced because that got tattered and battered against the back of this truck, among others, as he worked his way forward. But pole position, David Vrasecki, a driver who has a great history, European Truck Racing champion in 2008 and 2009. Not quite staying with the pace at the moment as his 8th place in that first race gave evidence, but racing for Bagheera International Racing along with Adam Lachko, the championship leader. David has had a run of the last meeting 6 weeks ago, 3 6th places for him. So big smiles all round. And there's Sasha Lentz joining Ryan Smith on that second row. Sasha Lentz in the number 30 man truck. Tucked well back in the cockpit, there he is, looking cool and calm. He's got his drinks bottle. I'm sure it's less than cool out on the grid. At track temperatures, it's now 5:10 in the afternoon, probably still as high as they have been. It will take a while for them to drop. They hit 55 degrees not so long ago, and will probably be at about the same level. Swinging across the grid, taking a look. Away, please. In comes the camera. Ryan Smith checking it's sunny outside. It most certainly is. I'm sure that's not what he's really doing, but something entertaining. Has he got a spider in his cockpit? Quite possibly. Maybe a lobster. I think it's a spider. Anyhow, a little helping hand. Helmet will go on shortly, but 30 minutes of racing, no pit stops, not unless you really feel like having one. But we saw these trucks get very close and really quite sideways, and 44 will be starting from outside of the third row. This is the only woman racer in the field, Steffi Harm, and a very, very effective racer too. She's already taken victory this year in the first round at the Red Bull Ring. She won 2016 here at the Hungaroring, and the year before at this very same circuit she scored her first win at this level. The championship leader, Adam Lachko, in the 55 Freightliner. Got a bit pushed wide on the opening lap of the first race this afternoon and had to fight his way back. And got very close to Ryan Smith, but to Shane Brereton, another British driver in the field, who got put down to the back over speeding. I don't quite understand what that means, but he got a 20-second penalty, which dropped him from a really strong 4th place. Well, I'm just being told it's a maximum speed limit you're not allowed to exceed. I think I might need that in my car at home. But he did it not once but twice. Apparently it was I've just got a message on my phone saying a technical issue with the mapping of the engine. So inadvertently broke the speed limit they're allowed to exceed, not allowed to exceed. And there is the local hero, Norbert Kiesch, will be starting down on the 4th row, having taken victory. And Jochen Hahn, last year's champion, also champion 3 times before. In 2011, 2012 and 2013, he drove around in 2nd place, had great pace, but not enough to match the Mercedes of Norbert Kiesch. So there's Jochen looking, not wanting to smile for the cameras because he's already in the zone. Of course, he's got to plot what he's going to do on the run to the first corner. He's got ostensibly 6 trucks ahead of him that are not as quick as he is. So he's got to really, if he wants to try and get a jump on Norbert Kiesch, who's starting alongside him on row 4, get the drop at the start and see if he can pick off 1 or 2 by the time they get down to turn 1. So 24 and 1, you can see them on the 4th row of the grid. The front row of 33 and 27 looks some distance away, But I think at the start of the race, my hunch is look to the number 88 truck of Ryan Smith. He was so feisty coming up from 16th to 6th place at the finish of the first race, much of his truck hanging off, but did a really strong job. André Kursim, one of the many German racers in this field, starting in 9th position on the grid. So a lot of hot people down there on the grid, and don't forget they're not the ones doing the racing. The ones with the racing have all got their helmets on, ready to go and play. So thumbs up from André Kursim. And alongside him, number 17. This is Shane Brereton, the driver who finished in exemplary 4th place, but sadly overspeeded twice. Now I know what it means, a maximum speed. Oh, there's a look of focus, and his first run was in the first race by far his best finish. Made his debut in the championship in 2016, but he's in the zone all over again, but he kept Adam Lachko behind him. That is no small feat, because Lachko has been the form driver this year. Antonio Albacete, he's done it in racing cars, in single-seaters, in touring cars, and he's done it in trucks as well. I think we can safely say that. 3-time European truck racing champion, but for the Spaniard, it's been quite a while. 52 years old now, seems young to me. But his last championship victory was 2010. I'm not talking about win, I'm talking about championship title. Chuck 91, Frankie, he's just known as. One of quite a few Czech racers on board. They'd have had fun through the course this year. A lot of Czech support, but the biggest number of supporters here clearly for the Hungarian hero, for Norbert Kish. And then the blue, yellow and orange trucks of the Rodriguez's. We've got Jose, and the next row behind him will be his father, Eduardo. But Jose in the battles got pushed out a little bit as some of the trucks like Ryan Smith got on his tail and came past. But Jose racing also this year in the TCR Touring Car Series, so quite a lot of variety for the Portuguese racer. Great looking trucks. And there's Father Eduardo. Down on the penultimate row of the grid, and then that leaves us 2 more trucks. The number 15, and that's Erwin Kleinnagel, and finally Dominique Orsini at the back of the grid. There it is, 19. They seem to have a slight engine problem in the first race. Certainly making noises that perhaps aren't quite right, but hopefully they've got those all right. Because of course, don't forget, wow, nice helmet, sir, with the teeth all around for Dominic Orsini, making like a shark, but all eyes really on getting it right at the start. They'll have a formation lap, then they'll come round 2 by 2, and then they'll make that charge, that big rumble, as they go down towards the first corner, the downhill drop to turn 1, a corner that has several goes, several apexes as you go around, and then often if you're running wide out of turn 1, you'll be out of position for turn 2. So the ramifications of getting on the dirty stuff can be doubled. Now we're riding back on the Segway from the rear of the grid towards the front. It's good to see everyone starting to clear off as the Segway comes through. Just the essential team personnel on the grid now. Huge crowds here at the Hungaroring for GT3 racing and for the truck racing. And good to see, great conditions. And certainly the half hour of the first race went by in a flash. Expecting more of the same, and just to reiterate, the top 8 finishing positions reversed for the second race. So expect that man, Norbert Kiss, to make a charge, but he doesn't want to take too many risks on the run to the first corner. But of course, all the people in the crowd cheering him on with their flags, his name on their flags around their waists and around their shoulders, will be hoping he will do a stellar start from the 4th row. But find yourself on the inside of the corner rather than the outside, I think is probably the advice from the Tank Pool 24 racing team. Now Gerd Korber on the front row of the grid is looking to banish the ghost of a race 4 last year when he won on the road, but was, yes, penalised for over-speeding. And Korber's last win, I have to jog his memory, 2009 Harama. So thank you very much to Sam Smith for sending those messages through. Right, interesting little fact also sent through from the press delegate is the fact that Ryan Smith, who came up from the tail of the field in that truck that looked increasingly battered as its front bodywork fell down had a cooling problem. Hey, not surprising. So if he can keep all the bodywork on, he should be even faster. But anyhow, they'll have a little longer to repair the trucks overnight this time. Now they're going around on their formation lap. 2 races on the Saturday, 2 races for this FIA European Truck Racing Championship tomorrow as well. What the track conditions will be like then, I do not know. I think the track temperature now should be starting to dip a bit. You can see the shadow of the main grandstand over the start-finish straight. Fans still packed in to see all the racing action. We've got more racing after this as well. A race for the Blancpain GT Sports Club to bring the day to the conclusion. A very successful day here at the Hungaroring. So the pace truck leads the field around through turn 1. As you can see, different degrees of angle around the corner to a fast kink on the exit. Particularly fast for those that are still on the tarmac. Not so fast for those who go on the dirty stuff out beyond the green strip around the outside of the circuit. So 16 trucks rumbling their way around. 1,000 horsepower apiece. Look out for the number 24, the silver and red Mercedes of Norbert Kies. He's the driver who won the first race, had it all completely under control. It must be said, busy time this summer. The trucks go straight from here to the Czech Republic, to the home race for quite a few of the other drivers, to Most in the Czech Republic next weekend. And then 16th and 7th of September. 17th of September they go to Zolder. The week after that to Le Mans, and they end the season at Jarama in Spain. So a real spurt of 5 races in about 6 weeks. After a 6-week break, it suddenly comes thick and fast, and the truck's also looking thick and fast as they rise up to turn 4. 2 by 2 by 2, etc. they go. And there's the row you've got to look for. It's row 4. We have Jochen Hahn, last year's champion with number 1, and 24, the driver who really is desperate to become this year's champion, Norbert Kies. Local hero, European Truck Racing Champion in 2014 and 2015. Last year he lost out to the driver alongside, to Jochen Hahn. No front bodywork, the bottom part of Ryan Smith's truck, so clearly didn't have the replacement bodywork. That was the bit that got battered and tattered and fell off in the first race after a couple of moments of contact. Didn't seem to slow his pace particularly. He was right in there on the charge. Great low camera angle there on the Rodriguez trucks, and there's the back row coming through behind them. So just to check whether it's father or son. 14, the son Rodriguez is the 14 truck, and 11 penultimate row. The grid alongside him is his father, Eduardo. On pole position though, David Vasecki, champion in 2008 and 2009, and Gerd Korber. Ryan Smith on the second row. Adam Lachko looking to do wonders from row 3. Steffi Harm, she's been a winner. Here's last year's champion, Jochen Hahn, alongside the first race winner in terms of Norbert Kies. Antonio Albacete, look for a charge from him, and also just a row ahead of him, Shane Brereton, number 17. They could really start to make some moves, but the flags be waving the most if the 24, the silver and red Mercedes, can get it right at the start and pick off a position or two, as you have to. The top 8 flipped around from their finishing positions in the first race. Now they've got to do it all over again with more of a challenge for the fastest trucks. The pace truck pulls into the pit lane, as tall as anything out there you'll ever see on a circuit. 2 by 2 they come. 33, David Vasecki in the Freightliner with a big snout on pole position. 24 on the outside of the second row. 4th row, I beg your pardon, wants to get the start. That's right, the lights have gone green. Who's got the power down best? 55, Lachko making a fantastic start. Ryan Smith very slow off. Oh, very close to the pit wall. 55, will he have enough space? Because Ryan Smith is now getting close enough to try and make a move on David Vasecki. I couldn't tell if the dust was coming off the pit wall, but down into the first corner. It looks though Vasecki has done just enough, trying to go around the outside. 3 abreast doesn't always work. Steffi Harm right in the mix. Who's going to emerge in front? I think it's still going to be the snout of David Vasecki's Freightliner. Yes, it is, alongside Gerd Korber, getting pushed a little bit wide. 55, Adam Lachko's made good ground. He's up into 4th position. Steffi Harm into 3rd. And doesn't look as any place changes at all for 24, the local hero, Norbert Kies. Well, who's on the track and who isn't on the track? Most of them are on the track. I think it was 1 wheel wide, very tight between 33. Look at Steffi Harm in the row behind with 55, Adam Lachko fighting as they come up to turn 4. It looks as though Steffi Harm might get her nose up the inside into 3rd place. She goes. off the circuit from the lead, back onto the circuit, having run wide, bodywork already flapping, and then Lachko pushes Gerd Korber out wide. He pushes Steffi Harm off the track, and Jochen Hahn says, thank you very much in number 1. I'm up to 4th place, maybe up to 3rd when we get to the chicane. And tucked in behind, Norbert Kisch also trying to make up ground. Ryan Smith has lost about 4 or 5 positions in the 88 truck that's missing its front lower bodywork. There you can see it coming through. Very, very tight. Norbert Kisch got pushed wide onto the grass, got to get back on the circuit. Hard to know where to look, but it's the Freightliners 1 and 2. Adam Lachko up into 2nd place, and certainly it all went his way when a couple of other trucks got pushed wide by him down at turn 5, and the order changed very much in the favour of Bugira International 1st and 2nd. So it's Vasecki ahead of Adam Lachko. Steffi Harm, it's all going wrong for her. She worked her way up to 3rd place at turn 4, and by the time she gets to turn 8, she's down in about 8th position. Whole bit of bodywork section. Did that come off the side of the number 24 truck, Norbert Kisch's truck? So even if you're the local hero at home ground, no one will give you any respect. And what looked like a brilliant lap for 44 Steffi Harm has turned into an absolute nightmare as another picks her off. That is 23. That's Antonio Albacete. So Freightliners 1 and 2. It's David Vasecki leading the way from Adam Lachko, and in 3rd place, just looking to see how much further back Norbert Kisch is. Number 30 coming across. Gerd Korber has held on to 3rd place. Jochen Hahn up to 4th. Sascha Lenz to 5th. Norbert Kisch has gained 2 positions, but unfortunately for him, Jochen Hahn has gained more. Hahn is up into 4th place, see him charging down to turn 1, and ahead of him, Gerd Korber doesn't seem to have a great deal of traction. Kisch is getting very close indeed to Sascha Lenz. You can see the red truck with the yellow roof. That's Lenz. Then we have, is that going to be a spin, or as close as you can get to a spin? Down at the tail of the field, that is Erwin Kleinnagel. That is Sun Rodriguez. That's Jose Rodriguez at the side of the circuit. So didn't get round to the end of the opening lap. The long walk home. Adam Lachko now leading the race. He caught his teammate. Maybe his teammate let it through. David Vasecki with that flapping rear bodywork. Jochen Hahn now up past Gerd Korber into 3rd place. They go through turn 4. Wow, look, Ryan Smith in 88 is fighting back on Norbert Kisch. Do not push him off. That's his home circuit. I said do not push him off. You didn't listen. Off goes Norbert Kisch. A massive sigh of disappointment, a shout of disappointment. Kisch coming back onto the circuit. He's tucking in behind Steffi Harm. So Harm had that dreadful opening lap that went from brilliant to awful. And then another position lost as Norbert Kisch has disappointed all those people. I'm not sure Ryan Smith will get away without investigation, because that was a full-on contact there, but Smith had the fastest first sector of the circuit by quite some margin, so he was really, really on a charge, but charge turned to push of all the drivers to hit the local hero. Norbert Kisch was possibly not the one you wanted to do that to. 27 smoking away, 88 none, trying to get up the inside of Sascha Lenz. He's certainly on a charge. He doesn't seem to respect anybody ahead of him, because that is where he's going. 88 made all the place. He's gained about 8 positions on the track and 2 through penalties in the first race. He's gained another position. Sascha Lenz, the latest to fall and fall, he nearly did, and it looks as though number 17 is going through. So Shane Brereton has picked up another position as Sascha lost momentum, being pushed wide at turn 12. Up front, though, we're seeing Jochen Hahn in 3rd place, getting very close indeed to David Vasecki. 2 by 2 around the final corner at the end of the second lap for those at the second half of the top 10. Steffi Harm in the blue truck on the outside trying to regain positions. Antonio Albacete in 23, red and white truck just in front of her. She's tucked in so close, she's in the slipstream. Yes, you can already see her gaining as they go past the pit wall. Now the track drops down the slope, but Adam Lachko got it all under control, leading the race. 2nd place is his teammate David Vasecki, who races in the Chinese truck racing series. Hasn't won since the 2015 series, but certainly in terms of pace, you expect Jochen Hahn to go past him. And Hahn will be looking to mirrors to find 24, but we can see 24. We already saw some bodywork come off. That's just the bodywork on this side of the rear part of the truck, like a valance, if you will. And then the contact up at turn 5. Adam going off the track after contact with Ryan Smith as the local hero coming in for repairs, and effectively in a half-hour race out of the running. So huge size. But if you're racing for the Freightliner crew from Bugira International, you'll be very pleased with life, because you're running 1st and 2nd. Adam Lachko, David Vasecki with Jochen Hahn tucked in behind. Now look at this battle. Sascha Lenz in number 30 tucked in behind Shane Brereton. Albacete on his rear, pushing his rear. Likewise, Steffi Harm doing the same to him, 42. That's Andrei Kursim right on the lady racer's tail as well. 55 leading the race. 33 is now back in third place because the move has come off. Jochen Hahn had the speed, found the track position and has moved up into second place. So he's put his Iveco into second place and the order keeps on changing behind. Sasha Lent seems to be the target of a lot of attacking. Ryan Smith doing plenty more attacking. His next target is Gerd Korber in fourth place. Korber lost third position not so long ago to Hahn. Hahn then moved on past third into second to go past Kurosecki. Albacete making a dive up the inside of Lenz, not quite close enough. Steffi Harm tucked in behind. Andrei Kursim likewise. And then Truck 91 tucked in behind with Frankie on board. Likes to just be known as Frankie, keeps it simple. Two by two isn't enough. Antonio Albacete up the inside, around the outside of Sasha Lenz. Briefly 3x3 goes Steffi Harm. So Lenz has been hunted. And look, the blue truck has got the momentum, and also Andrei Kursim is tucked into the slipstream. More damaged bodywork after contact with the side of 44. That was the second half of the opening lap when everybody seemed to want to push Steffi Harm off the track. But position gained there. And having got past David Versecki, Jochen Hahn is going off after Adam Lachko. A battle for the lead, batting all the way down to the penultimate few places. 27 and 17, that's Shane Brereton in 17, having a go at Gerd Korber to go down to turn 2, but Korber has the inside line. Okay, classic line. Go one way, go the other now. Can Brereton tuck in the better round the back out of turn 3? Yes, he can. He's in close enough to get the toe down the dip. He's got more momentum out of the corner. Going to be making a move, but he's on the outside line for when they get to turn 4, and that really is where you start to run out of track. But Korber, is he overcooking it into turn 4? No, I think Brereton thought he'd wait to get a better opportunity. Then behind him, Albacete in 7th place. Steffi Harm in 8th. Red and white truck ahead of the blue one. Brereton pushing Korber very hard indeed through the chicane, and I said the gap between first and second was coming down, and it certainly is. 2.065 seconds between Lachko and Hahn at the start of the lap. It looks way less than that. I reckon at least half a second's come off that already. It's a chasing pack. What do you reckon? I think we're down to 1.5 seconds between that two. We'll see when they get to the end of the lap. Clear track for race leader Adam Lachko, a driver who has just had such a strong season, leading the championship by 29 points when we came here. Sorry, 31 points after the last race. But importantly for him, the person who's chasing him is not chasing him, because in the pits, unfortunately, Norbert Kiesch, after that contact, after just 2 laps, brought it in at the end of the third. There's Jose Rodriguez, truck parked at the edge of the circuit on the exit of turn 12. And the driver who's just set the fastest middle sector of anyone by at least half a second is the driver in 4th place, the 88 truck. And there he is, right on the tail, David Versecki, as they try to negotiate turn 14 without any trouble. And who's got the better acceleration onto the start-finish straight? Looks pretty impressive from the Freightliner, despite the bodywork flapping. So the gap's down to half a second, and yes, half a second was taken off by Jochen Hahn on race leader. 1.5 seconds now, the gap between first and second, and looking quite tail-happy, Adam Lachko's Freightliner, as they get down to the first corner, turn 1, and again the second Freightliner of David Versecki really struggling to turn in. The trucks without snouts, the Bands and the Ivecos and the Mercedes seem to have a bit better grip or court turn-in ability, and now 33 is starting to be pushed very hard indeed, because he's got Ryan Smith really trying to prove that he's got the pace this weekend. Well, he certainly has proved that in his man, getting in close. And now they seem to be breaking into pairs. Race leader in a pair, Adam Lachko with Jochen Hahn. Hahn again, first part of the lap, taking another half second out of him. Then Ryan Smith visibly carrying more speed up the hill into turn 4 as he tries to see what he can do about David Versecki. Gerd Korber still holding off Shane Brereton. Steffi Harm was with Brereton, but she's now fallen back into the grasp of Antonio Albacete. Here's Brereton. He's really got to move on suddenly in his man. All over the back of Gerd Korber in his Iveco from the team Schwaben truck. Big presence here in the paddock at the Hungaroring. Corber hanging on, some of his bodywork at the back hanging on. These rear bodywork over the rear wheels does tend to get loose when given a bit of a clip, but then these trucks hitting them are 5.3 tons, so not surprising they amend the shape. 91 pushing very hard on Sasha Lenz. That's Frankie. That means Andrei Kursim has got past Lenz. Yes, so he has. 42. 30 has been caught and monstered by a whole host of trucks. But probably the most monstering is being affected by 88, Ryan Smith, down towards the end of another lap. Trying to go up the inside at turn 30. He's doing everything he can to unsettle David Vasecki, but David, champion 2008 and 2009, is closing right in. He's very, very experienced, but the biggest gain has been the battle between first and second. It was 1.592 seconds between Jochen Hahn and the race leader Adam Lachko. It's way less than that. 0.642 of a second. Thought it was coming down, not by as much as that, and look how close it is behind. 27, Gerd Korber holding on to 5th place. Shane Brereton now got Steffi Harm all over him, all over again. She had a lap where she lost ground, then caught right up into his slipstream, and in behind Antonio Albacete, lost ground to Harm. So Harm is suddenly getting back onto form, but the driver on the greatest form of all is the driver who was last year's champion. Number 1 on his windscreen, number 1 on his door, Jochen Hahn, closing in relentlessly on Adam Lachko. Lachko was a driver leading the championship coming here, still leading the championship, but being pressured very hard indeed by the driver who was champion last year. And for Adam Lachko, second in the championship last year, second the year before, leading the way this time. Did seem to lose his mojo very slightly. It certainly swung the way of the Mercedes of Norbert Kiesch on home ground. Are we going to have contact? No, that's as close as you want to get Jochen Hahn to just enough braking, but not clip the back and damage the front end of his truck against the back of the Freightliner of Adam Lachko. Now, how much curb? Well, 6 and 7, they stayed off the curbs there. A lot of the trucks we saw clattering them. They're trying to keep it clean, trying to keep it tidy, and certainly that has been a trademark of Jochen Hahn's driving in the number 1. Iveco just waiting for the moment. He's got the speed to close right onto the tail. And latest message on my screen. Oh, a truck, number 11, 10-second penalty for over-speeding. So Eduardo Rodriguez, not a good race for them. His son Jose out along the side of the circuit very early in the race. Now Jose in problems. And Ryan Smith, not too surprisingly, we saw the contact he had that put Norbert Kiesch into a spin, but that wasn't the only one. There's another contact that he's under investigation for. All he can do at the moment is try his hardest to get past David Vasecki, but the stewards have an eye on him as Jochen Hahn tries yet another different angle, almost able to get up the inside of Adam Lachko as they go around the final corner, turn 14, but Lachko pulls his Freightliner back in front of him as they go onto the start-finish straight one more time. And the gap came down by 1/10 of a second. It's under half a second now. 0.446 of a second is the gap between first and second. Very similar gap. It's actually 0.6 of a second between Vasecki in third and Ryan Smith, the driver under investigation, in fourth place. And there is third and fourth coming down. A battle for third and fourth coming down, and then 55 Adam Lachko still leading the way. He's got to just stay there. Looks like he's got the performance, got the tyre life that he requires to stay. It's only on the 7th lap. We've only got 6 laps in the bag. It's an 11-lap race, due to last half an hour or thereabouts. Half an hour or moments longer. But Jochen Hahn, he could be content just to sit in behind. Don't forget, he did so well on the opening lap of this race. He was down in 7th position, therefore on the 4th row. Yet he gained position while Norbert Kiesch didn't as much. He got 2 positions clear of him, and then Norbert Kiesch later had the contact with Ryan Smith. The contact by Ryan Smith, I think we can say. And that dropped him into retirement. So the championship battle was swinging the way of Kiesch after race 1 and swung the way of Adam Lachko, the driver who is leading the race and leading the championship in that 55 Freightliner. More tyre smoke. You can see the trucks really leaning over through the very tight twisters of 6 and 7. In fact, that whole section around the far side of the circuit. David Vasecki, decades of experiences in trucks, and he's using all of it to keep the charging Ryan Smith behind him. You can see full well that Ryan's got the faster truck and would be able to pull away. But first to do that, he has to get past. So Tatty rear end on the 33, Tatty front end on the 88. The damage to the 88 was done in the first race. I'm sure by tomorrow they'll have got the bodywork back on that for tomorrow's 2 races. But right now he's determined to get on the podium. It may well be that the race officials have other idea. Under investigation for 2 bits of contact, and so he's about to throw the truck off the circuit there. Only just managed to get the grip back. As he went to turn 12 through 13 he goes, and he's further back than he has been from the 3rd place David Vasecki. That little twisty moment where he got the tail starting to wag the dog, he backed off the throttle. That cost him momentum. Gerd Korber leading this little battle for 5th place. It's Korber still ahead of the 17 of Brereton, Steffi Harm in 44, and Antonio Albacete bringing up the rear in 8th place. And it's finally shaken off the charging Andre Kursim, who was with them a while back, but just simply didn't have the pace. Yeah, it's nearly 3 seconds off their tails. I said it looked as though Latchko's got everything he needs to stay in the lead of the race, because right now Jochen Hahn not able to challenge him. It also looks to me as though Ryan Smith is running out of ideas, or perhaps running out of tyre life, of where to try and make a charge to get past 33 David Vasecki. Oh, the reason that 55 is looking just that little bit further ahead is because he got the hammer down and was half a second, 6/10 of a second faster last time around. So the gap went out from just under half a second to bang on a second, and now around the lap. Maybe he had a lap cooling his tyres. The Sven Walter Logistics Hahn racing truck with Jochen Hahn at the wheel is closing right in all over again. Of course, running car behind car can be the one behind to lose air on it, get too hot. Imagine what it's like following after a great big bluff-fronted truck ahead of you. Huge hole in the air that you are not getting on yours. So the racing trucks often have to drop aside, drop back just a tiny bit to get their temperatures back under control. Well, Gerd Korber, reverse grid, he started on the front row and he's had to fight very, very hard indeed. Shane Brereton, Steffi Harm, Antonio Albacete, all drivers who can trouble him, all drivers who are troubling him, but Korber, so much experience. He won the European Cup Championship 2002, 2003, but he's having to dig deep in his memory banks to see if he can stay ahead, but he's not putting a wheel out of line. Shane Brereton, his bodywork hanging down at the front. If he got that little bit too close, that won't be helping him. Steffi Harm having a look up the inside into turn 13, and her nose ahead, and Brereton's having to ease off on the outside. He will then be squeezed over the curbs on the outside. Yeah, move work. Antonio Albacete now, when we get to turn 14, finds himself on the outside of the corner, but Brereton just has to accept that was a great move by Steffi Harm. So the gap between first and second coming down a bit. That battle in which 17 has just lost a position, might lose another, because down to the first corner, look in the background, there's the battle for 3rd and 4th. Antonio Albacete, I thought he was getting a bit of a slipstream, bit of a tow coming down to turn 1, dives up the inside of Shane Brereton, who left him enough room not to have to clout the curbs too hard. Brereton, though, tucks back into 7th place. Albacete will have to try another day, another time. Steffi Harm now has the flapping bodywork. You certainly get the feeling for the Truck Racing Championship with 4 races over 2 days. You need to bring a fair few spares. The bits of bodyworks that get clattered tend to be towards the rear of the truck and the very, very front of the truck, as seen on Ryan Smith's charging but not passing seems to have been the story for Smith. But the best battle in the race at the moment is this one, 5th place through to 8th. Korber, Steffi Harm, Shane Brereton and Antonio Albacete. Look how close they are. On the start-finish line, what's the difference between them? It was 1.5 seconds, just under. This part of the circuit, it looks less than that. But when you get to the chicane at turn 6 and 7, there's nothing you can really do about the truck ahead. It's hard enough in car racing. There just isn't enough space. Turns 8, 9 and 10, the track keeps flicking away around the far side, and flick out comes the tail from Gerd Korber. Was that the moment he lost it? Is it close enough for Steffi Harm to get up the inside as they go? Not quite close enough out of 11. No, I thought she might. The Rhino Adventures truck looking left, looking right, seeing what it can do. Gerd Korber, he knows what he's doing in the truck. He most certainly does. He's not leaving any space, not even half a space for Steffi Harm to consider. Steffi locks up, very nearly clouts the back of him. Is this the moment Shane Brereton gets a run back on? Question if Steffi Harm can get her truck to tuck back in. It has. Stays in 6th place. Gerd Korber still in 5th, behind Shane Brereton. Not so long ago, pushed back to 7th, and 7th he stays. So on to the penultimate lap, 0.678 of a second between this Adam Lachko and that, if you will, which is the number 1 Iveco Freightliner of Lachko and the Iveco of Jochen Hahn. 0.678 of a second, and look how close it is behind. Gerd Korber still hanging on to 5th place. Adam Lachko leads the race for Freightliner. Freightliner, the 33 Freightliner, running in 3rd place, being harried since the early laps by Ryan Smith, who made that charge up the order, but Smith seems unable as they go on to the penultimate lap to get any further up the order. However, Steffi Harm was very cross, no doubt, to be pushed wide twice on the opening lap, and she's fought her way alongside. Breathe in, breathe out, and pass, but slightly compromised on the exit. Gerd Korber trying his utmost, but Steffi Harm will have the right position as they go up into turn 4. Wow! And Shane Brereton has come through as well. It's amazing. You go a little bit wide, and it's very hard to haul these big trucks back across onto the bit of circuit you want them to. And now Shane Brereton going up the inside of Steffi Harm. She was a little bit hesitant going into turn 5. And I think Brereton, will he brave it out up the inside when they get to chicane? He's on the right line. He takes 5th position. So 5th turn to 6th to 7th. Then a clash between 23 and Antonia Albacete and Steffi Harm. Poor Steffi being absolutely monstered in this race, but she's got the pace. She's fighting back. And then a very unusual line. Went too deep in the corner there, Shane Brereton. He won't have the ultimate run out of 11, but looks like he's done enough. Sorry, before 11. It's about turn 8 he made that mistake. And around the outside, but still on the inside, has Brereton got enough position? How much that's dangling bodywork affecting them as they dive down the hill? Harm's now back ahead of Brereton. Brereton's bodywork, dragging along the track. Antonio Albacete gets ahead, goes around the outside at turn 12. Will there be contact? Not there, there won't, but Albacete, did he come off the throttle? No, I don't think so. So he will be carrying on, not losing momentum. So the Spaniard, the Spanish veteran, don't think he'll mind me calling him that, regains the position. So 3 place changes in half a lap in this battle for 5th place. But Gerd Korber has lost all the ground. He was at the front of the group at this lap. He's at the back of the group. Now he's got Andre Kursin for company, because the German racer has caught up in 42 while all those ahead of him were getting it loose, getting it wild, hanging it off the circuit. On to the final lap, down out of turn 1, through the kink, down to turn 2. The track drops even more sharply. Adam Lachko leading the way. Jochen Hahn rose from 7th place, got up into 2nd, has not been able to challenge, and Norbert Kisch will hardly be able to watch this. He doesn't want Lachko to be gaining maximum points for this race. Lachko leading the championship. Norman Kies was the challenger, but his challenge was blunted this afternoon. Right now, the gap was just under a second on the start-finish line. It looks to be about the same. Lachko not taking any risks. That allows Jochen Hahn to close in. They know it's the final lap. Well, you hope they know it's the final lap. But look, so neat and tidy. These two have just not been taking risks. That said, a little bit of curving flicked up, or a little bit of bodywork perhaps. In fact, I think it was bodywork off Antonio Albacete's truck in his contact there with Steffi Harm last time around. So halfway around the final lap. Just keeping things under control. Our first 2 runners. Oh, last lap. Time for Ryan Smith to make a charge. He's already been investigated for 2 bits of contact, and there side-by-side contact with 33, but David Vasecki not interested in backing off. Adam Lachko nearly going off at turn 12 on the final lap as Jochen Hahn closes in. But the driver who won so many races mid-season won 6 in a run of 7 races. Looks though he's going to add win number 7 to his campaign. So race 2 Adam Lachko bringing it into the finish. Second place going to Jochen Hahn. Then you have to look more than a dozen seconds back. And David Vasecki has withstood the charge of 88. Or has he? Well, right there at the final corner on the final lap, Ryan Smith up the inside, caught a bit more contact and a bit more contact as they run to the finish line. But Ryan Smith elicits a cheer from the crowd. He gets third place. Will he be allowed to keep it ahead of 33? Steffi Hahn, what a race for her. Really muscled out of it. Worked her way back to 5th. Albacete in 6th. 7th place will be Shane Brereton. Gerd Korber lost out the last few laps. He fell to 8th place overall. Then Andrei Kursim and truck number 30. Didn't really talk about him too much through the course of the race. Sasha Lentz, he got monstered by a whole group around him and gradually fell down the order, but he takes the 10th position behind Andrei Kursim. So top 2 covered by 0.6 of a second. Get to see if Smith keeps that third place, because I think 3 lots of contact in a race would possibly be considered little more than unfortunate, but certainly provided plenty of fireworks for us to enjoy. But for Norbert Kies, the driver, the Hungarian driver in this race, took the first win this afternoon. Didn't get to do many laps in the second after that contact with Ryan Smith up at turn 5, the corner where Adam Lachko is right now, led to him spinning down the order and coming back into the pits. But for Adam Lachko, the Bagheera International Racing Team, that's a very good win indeed. A little bit of bodywork damage on the front corner. Nice little touch. In fact, he's advertising his home race on his rear bumper. If you have a look, it says the 2nd and 3rd September in Most. On the rear number plate, if you will, of that 55 Freightliner. So Jochen Hahn, last year's champion, will be happy with his race. Did all he could to work his way back up the order after the reverse grid start. So here are the finishing positions. 0.6 of a second between Adam Lachko and Jochen Hahn. Ryan Smith listed as third, just a fraction ahead of David Vasecki after overtake on the final corner of the final lap. Steffi Hahn, so much contact in this race, and I would say that almost none of it seemed to be her fault. Came back through to 5th place. Antonio Albacete to 6th. Shane Brereton to 7th. In that great battle, poor Gerd Korber, not so long ago, was in 5th. Got moved down to 8th at Flagfall. Half an hour packed with racing. Andrei Kursim was there or thereabouts. Didn't have the pace of those ahead of him, but as they slowed themselves with each other, he caught up. Sasha Lenz got muscled out, and Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort started last and gained 5 positions to finish in 11th place. But most importantly, Norbert Kies won the first race here, didn't get to complete the second in his 24 Mercedes-Benz. We'll have to do it all over again tomorrow. Sometimes you're fortunate, sometimes you're not. It wasn't his lucky day in the second race. In the first race, he drove a perfect performance and took the victory that sent the crowds wild with delight. And certainly nothing if not entertaining. And there is the winner of race 2, Adam Lachko. That makes it 7 wins this year. No wonder he's leading the championship. Didn't seem to have the pace in the first race. He was there or thereabouts, but not at the really sharp end of the field. He was delayed by Shane Brereton, who drove so well to stay ahead of him before Brereton took a penalty for overspeeding. Jochen Hahn in the number 1 Iveco's been there, seen it, done it, does it very well indeed. And then Ryan Smith in 88 brings his truck. It was tattered before the start of the race into Parc Fermé. They are your top 3 in the afternoon, early evening sunshine here at the Hungaroring. 2 more races from the FIA European Truck Championship tomorrow. Plenty of applause, a lot of pressure soaked up from Adam Lachko. He made such a strong start, and that was his key. He got a few trucks between himself and those who were giving chase in this reverse grid for the top 8 starters. Did what he had to do. Jochen Hahn looked so he had the pace to go round him, but wasn't provided an opportunity to do so. So the Czech racer, nice moment when you get those earplugs out. Oh yes. On a hot afternoon, so he knows what it takes to win, and did it very well indeed. A look of satisfaction already straight into the interviews, waiting for the other drivers to get to the finish. So huge amount of popularity. Just been told what to say.
Shut up, Westy. Are we doing an interview?
So lots of popular appeal for the top handful of drivers who drive trucks, all a little bit broken by the end of the race, but it's only bodywork, fear not. But exemplary driving at the front end. Key was a really good start for Adam Lachko. Jochen Hahn had to come through from the fourth row, even further back on the grid, and did that very well. Indeed, to tuck in behind, but just couldn't find a space around this twisty tight circuit to go past. You really had to feel for Steffi Hahn, who was pushed and shunted here and there. Third in the first race. Looks she got up to third at the start of this race, halfway around the opening lap, not even halfway around, and then everybody seemed to push her off the track and had to come back several times. Did so very well indeed to get up into fifth position. Marshall's out on the track. Still one more race to come here on the Saturday at the Hungaroring. Just trying to get any bits of bodywork and shards of glass fibre off the circuit. Well, we thought we'd like to hear from the race winner, Adam Lachko, and he's been hunted down. He's with Dakota.
Adam, a massive congratulations. What a race that was.
I think it's not bad. On the first lap, I go to the second position from the fifth. And during the first two laps, I go to the front. And after I look to the mirror and I control where is Jochen, and Jochen comes to me, but he stayed behind me, and I'm happy with this because I won. And here in Nürburgring, it's very hard for us. It's very slippery, and I'm very happy.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Dakota. So that was Adam Lachko looking suitably hot. He had to work hard. He knew that Jochen Hahn had the pace to get past him, but he didn't provide him with the opportunity to do so. Which is indeed the mark of a driver at the top of his game. Certainly some great little roles, cameo roles within that race. But as Adam pointed out down there, it was the good start he made that took him up several positions to get into second on the opening lap. And soon he managed to get his way past his teammate, David Vasecki. And David, in the end, came home in fourth place. We saw him getting pushed wide on that final lap, but looked good for the Bulgaria international team here at the Hungaroring. And victory in the second race today, showing just how well they are sorted this season. Temperature now finally starting to drop at the Hungaroring, bit more shadow across the circuit. The longer shadows show we're getting towards the end of a day. Still cars about to come on the circuit for the following race, the final race of the Saturday at the Hungaroring. Shaking of the head from those who didn't win. But for Adam Lachko working his way towards the podium. Again, plenty of trophies to be handed out. It's all about getting the right flags in behind. Ryan Smith explaining all that happened in his exciting race to Jochen Hahn. Jochen Hahn looking cool, calm and collected. Ryan full of enthusiasm, pumped up with adrenaline after the race, but he worked his way up to third place and had more than a few stories to tell. So let's look at the replay of the start of the race. Don't forget, the top 8 flipped around. Truck 24 was looking for a quick start, but Truck 1 got the better start from the fourth row. Don't forget they were first and second, and there, 55, Adam Lachko helping poor Gerd Korber out the way, pushed Steffi Hahn, who just got up into third, down the order at the back, and then she couldn't get back on the circuit. Sasha Lentz up the inside, and Ryan Smith gaining position 24, going out wide. That was the first of 2 problems in the race for Norbert Kish, the local hero. Then the change of the positions at the front. David Vasecki respectfully getting out of the way of his championship-leading teammate Adam Lachko. So the lead to Lachko after that strong start. Now here's the moment the Hungarians won't like. Up the inside went Ryan Smith. Off around the outside and way beyond went their man Norbert Kish. And he soon came back to the pit garages to retire. Gerd Korber in the 27 still fighting hard. Steffi Hahn getting up close and personal with Shane Brereton. Antonio Alberthetti hopping over the curbs in the background as bodywork goes flying. And it was this battle for 5th place down to 8th that provided a lot of the fireworks. Gerd Korber worked his hardest to keep the young chargers behind him. But perhaps the biggest charger of all was Ryan Smith up the inside of the 33 Freightliner of David Vasecki back onto the circuit. The place wasn't gained, it had to be gained again, but through to the checkered flag. Adam Lachko going through, chased by Jochen Hahn. Final corner, final lap. Ryan Smith, it wasn't his final move. This was his final move, up the inside to take third place. Just resisting David Vasecki, who tried to come back on the circuit. It's been plenty of fun here at the Hungaroring. Podium ceremony about to start. Plenty of action, plenty more coming on Sunday at the Hungaroring. August sunshine, brilliant racing, and it's goodbye from me, Bruce Jones.